I would bet that many of you know the difference between a brokerage account, a Roth IRA, and a 401k, but I bet that many of you don't know that you can make your brokerage account into a Roth IRA. Not in the traditional sense, but in a way that it actually acts as if it's a Roth IRA. I'm going to show you what the heck that actually means today. So it's going to be a shorter video, but it's going to be helpful for you. This was prompted by a comment, and yes, I am crafting a lot of my videos around your comment. So here it is. This comes from Colin Scott 5994. Just 5 hours ago, he says, Ari, can you do a short video on the pros, cons of brokerage versus Roth IRA? Other than the income and contribution limits of a Roth IRA, it seems to win all the time compared to a brokerage account if you have a longer period of time. So let's think about this. Now, we're going to go through an example so you can fully understand it. But no, everything I go through always is for fun, educational, informational purposes only. There's absolutely no one-on-one financial advice given. Important disclosure about these videos right here. If you don't know already, my name is Ari Taublieb. I'm a certified financial planner. I'm the host of the Early Retirement Podcast, and I'm the vice president at Root Financial Partners. Let's hop in. So let's take two examples. Person A puts $5,000 into Apple, and then it grows, and now it's worth $100,000. Person B puts $5,000 into Apple, and then it grows, and it's worth $100,000. But the person B, it's all in their Roth IRA. Person A, brokerage account. Person B, Roth IRA. Person A has $100,000 at the end. They put 5 in, it's worth 100. Person B put 5 in, the same amount, and they also have 100. So both people have 100,000. When they log in, person A sees their brokerage account. Person B shows their Roth IRA. So what's the difference? Person B, when they take that money out of their Roth IRA, as they take the money out, they do not have to pay any taxes. They put $5,000 in. It grows. They don't pay any taxes along the way, absolutely none. Even if there's dividends or interest, you pay no taxes because you already paid on this money, $5,000 in your bank account. You add it to your Schwab Roth IRA, it grows. It's now worth $100,000. Now, I'm using an example for illustrative purposes, but odds are you don't put 5,000, it's not going to grow to 100,000. Just give you an example. I could do the same thing with 5,000 becoming 10,000, but it's more fun with big numbers because we get to feel big. Just kidding. I'm 5'5", okay? So it's a sore subject, okay? So $5,000 grows to 100,000 in the Roth IRA. When that money comes out, you never pay taxes ever again. With a brokerage account, the difference to this question here, he says, other than income and contribution limits of a Roth, it seems to win all the time compared to a brokerage account. On paper, the Roth IRA will win from what's a better account because you put money in, you never pay taxes as it grows. When you take it out, you still never pay taxes. You put 5,000 in, grows to 100, you take out 100. Now, the limit, the risk to this Roth IRA, what if you want to retire early at 50? You cannot take money out of that Roth IRA unless you want to pay a 10% penalty and taxes, and you probably don't want to do that. And so because of that, a pro tip with Roth IRAs, just so you know, you can always take out your personal money and you never are going to get taxed or penalized. So if I put 5,000 into the Roth and it grew to 100, I can take out $5,000. There's no problem there. But I couldn't take out $6,000. If I took out the first 5, I'm good. But the next 1,000, taxes and penalties. So the difference with a Roth IRA, and I'll explain which one you should use, with a brokerage account is different. So you put 5,000, you still end up with 100,000. The difference is as the money grows, there's generally dividends and interest if you own a mutual fund. We'll take a Vanguard index fund. As that grows, there are dividends and interest. Why? Because that mutual fund or ETF, it's investing in real companies like Amazon and Netflix and Meta that have earnings. And so what happens is those earnings are paid out to you as an investor, and you are taxed along the way. So along the way, you are having to pay taxes. And that's not always a great thing if you're trying to minimize your lifetime tax bill, of course. Now, don't make the mistake, and it's a dopey joke, but don't make the mistake of going, well, I'm not going to invest because I have to pay taxes. That's like declining a bonus because you're going to have to pay taxes. Don't do that. But I had a real client that said that once. Yes. Okay, so back to the example. The brokerage account, person 1 here, $5,000 is you're getting taxed on interest and dividends along the way. But for example's sake, let's assume that you invested in a company that has no dividends and grows to $100,000. Well, when you take that money out, you have to pay taxes. Now, how do you pay taxes? You pay taxes on what's called a capital gains schedule. So this is my important numbers sheet. So this is what I sleep next to every night, if you guys are wondering, because I know you guys are so curious what I sleep next to. It's not Alice, it's the important numbers sheet, okay? So as I go here, what you're going to be able to see is what's called I know the color's not perfect, and don't worry, I'm going to fire someone because this doesn't look good. Okay, I'm not going to fire someone, but long-term capital gains tax. So what this means is if I have $100,000, and let's just assume I'm single in this example, and I make, let's assume, just keep it easy. Let's assume I'm 50 years old and I have 100,000 in my brokerage account and I want to take money out. When I take money out based off of my income that year, I have capital gains taxes I have to pay. It's either 0%, 15%, or 20%. Plus there's something called a net investment income tax, which if you're single and above 200,000, it's an additional 3.8%. Plus there are state taxes in addition to this. So don't forget about that. So what this means is Roth IRA, take 100,000 out, I get 100,000. With the brokerage account, let's assume, for example's sake, I wanted to take all $100,000 out. OMG. So I'm taking all $100,000 out. And let's assume I'm killing it. I make $100,000 a year, okay? What that means, I'm single, make $100,000 a year. Do I get 0% taxes? No, because that's over 47. 100,000 is over 47,000. So I go to the next bracket here. 47 to 518. Yep, that's me. I'm in 100,000, so I'm in the middle of this. So 15%, yep, I'm going to have to pay 15% on $100,000. So that's $15,000 plus I need to pay an additional 3.8%, right? No. Whoa. I don't make over 200,000. I only make $100,000. So I don't have to do this one, which means if I want to take out $100,000, I have to pay 15% in taxes federally and then state taxes on top of that. So the difference here is I put $5,000 into a brokerage account. It grew and grew and grew. And then when I take the money out, I have to pay capital gains taxes. So it's pretty cool because if, let's say I made $100,000, but I didn't get to pay capital gains taxes. What if I had to pay ordinary income taxes? That's as if you just made more money. Well, if you had to do that, look at this. $100,000, I would, if I'm single here, I'd be just a large part of my income would be taxed at 22%, and 22 is higher than 15. And I'd rather pay 15 than 22%. So this capital gains tax is tax preferential. Now, what I just explained to you hopefully resonates, but that's called level 1, okay? Level 2, stick with me here, is what's called intentional tax gain harvesting. So let's give you an example here. I'm 40. I'm going to become 50. When I'm 50, I ain't working ever again. I'm over it, okay? So what's going to happen is I'm going to have this brokerage account. It's going to be worth $1 million because I crushed it. But I also have a Roth IRA, and I just did so good because I invested and I understood compound interest. So I also have $1 million there. So I have $1 million in my Roth and $1 million in my brokerage account. Pretty cool. So some people are going to retire at 50, and they're going to go, I have $2 million, $1 million in a brokerage, $1 million in a Roth. What the heck do I do? So a mistake that people will make is they'll pull from the Roth IRA because it's tax free. But that Roth IRA, it grows tax-free. You never pay dividends. You don't pay interest, no taxes. So we don't want to touch that until we have nowhere else to pull income from. Why? That's the best account we've got. Now, with a brokerage account, you have to pay taxes on interest and dividends. But let's assume at 50, I call it quits. I no longer am going to be working in any capacity. I'm over it. Well, if I retire and I have no income, zero, because I'm kaputs, okay? Well, what's going to happen is I'm going to have a choice. I'm going to need income because I'm a big spender, okay? I need to spend $100,000 a year. That's what I need to do. So I'm going to have a choice. Do I pull from my brokerage or do I pull from my Roth? And if I'm single at the time, what you're going to see here is I get to pay 0% taxes as long as I've held that stock for over a year. And I'm not going to have to pay any taxes, zero up to $47,000, plus I get to take the standard deduction. Let's just, for easy numbers, call that $14,000, and let's call this, just for easy numbers, we're just going to call it $50,000. I know it's not exactly that, but let's just we'll just call it 47 because as it is, it's not hard. Let's just going to say $60,000. It's like 61,000 something, but $60,000. What does that mean? That means if I want to take 100,000 out of my brokerage account where I've got some big gains because I picked Apple and I picked Microsoft and I picked Nvidia because I can see the future, okay? What's going to happen is I'm going to pay 0% taxes on the first $60,000. Yeah, almost like a Roth IRA. The difference is as it grew, I had to pay taxes on interest and dividends. But when I take the money out, the first $60,000 does not have to, I don't pay any taxes on that, 0%. Now, from $60,000 to $100,000, because once again, I'm a big spender, I need $100,000. On $40,000, I have to pay 15% taxes. So 15% on my $40,000 is $6,000, which means for me to get $100,000 to go live the life I want to live, I have to pay $6,000 in taxes. That's pretty good. Because if instead I had an IRA or a 401k and I took $100,000 out so I could go live the life I want to live, well, I'd have to pay 10% on the first 11,000, then 12% between 11,000 and 47,000, then 22%, my gosh, from 47 to 100,000, I would have to pay way more in taxes. And so because of this, a brokerage account is preferential. So it's not don't do this or only do this. It's let's be strategic. So that's level 2. Level 3 here is going, wait a second. This Roth IRA, you got me convinced, Ari. I want to do this Roth thing. Well, if your income, if you're single, if your modified adjusted gross income is below $161,000, you can do a Roth IRA contribution. If you're between 146 and 161, you can do a partial contribution. Below 146, you can do a full Roth contribution, which is $7,000. If you're over 50, $8,000. You get an additional $1,000. If you're married, you can see if you guys make over $240,000 modified adjusted gross income, you cannot do a Roth IRA. So you can do a backdoor Roth, but sometimes it will make more sense to do what's called a brokerage contribution because of something called the pro rata rule, which I'm not going to get into in today's video. But if you're begging to hear about backdoor Roths and pro rata rules and all of that, trust me, lots of videos I have on all of those topics as well. So hopefully this answered the question on brokerage Roth. What are the pros, cons? Hopefully you can see there. Summary, brokerage account, you pay taxes as dividends, interest accrues, capital gains over time, which is another reason I like ETFs instead of mutual funds because it's more tax preferential. So I like ETFs instead of mutual funds inside my brokerage account. And then Roth IRA, awesome account, big fan. There's only so much you can put in. There's contribution limits. Brokerage account, I could put on $10 million if I wanted to. If I were to sell the shirt on eBay, maybe I could get $4 for it. And then I could put all of that into my brokerage account. I know. Maybe I could put $4,000. I could put $40,000 if a lot of people like the shirt. It's a nice color, like a nice magenta, if you will. So that's it, guys, for today's video. If you want to actually see which one you should do for your strategy and to learn more, I encourage you to enroll in the Academy where you can go around and play around with different scenarios and actually see what's going to add more value to your plan. Is it adding to the brokerage account? Is it adding to the 401k or the Roth IRA? Where should you be saving more money? What you don't want to do is save too much to any one account. You want it to be diverse. So that's it for this video. Hope it was helpful.